Hi guys, welcome to another video. Is the luxury pre-loved market dead? The resale market for luxury handbags, is it dead? Is it dying? Is it got a chance of coming back? Why has it changed so much very recently? I've got so much to talk about. There's a lot of evidence. There is a lot of evidence and quite a lot of proof that it is dying. So what do I think? Wait for later for my view on what I think is happening. Let's get going. So guys, there was a lot of videos, maybe about a year ago, a little while ago, regarding whether luxury resale was dead. And yeah, you might think that I'm quite late to the party on this, but I have seen a big shift again more recently, so I wanted to talk about this. And also, I am very new to the resale market. I never sold a bag for years and years and years, and then in the last year I've sold quite a few bags. And so because I'm new to it, I have witnessed and experienced myself a difference even in the last year. So that is why I wanted to do this video now. There seems to be so many changes in luxury, in watching of luxury videos, in talking about luxury items, in the price of luxury items, both up and down, and we'll come to that. Just on the amount of stock that is around on the luxury resale market. So I do think that luxury in general is changing. Luxury YouTubers are leaving the luxury space. Everybody and their dog is selling their items and nobody's interested, and the economy, nobody's interested in luxury anymore. So because of that must have had an impact on the luxury resale market. So let's go through some of these reasons. The first thing is there is so much stock. It is unbelievable. There are so many reseller sites. There are so many ways in order to buy and sell your pre-loved items, or your items, and make them pre-loved. And lots of people recycle these. So you've got the big resellers, you've got the consigners, you've got Facebook groups, you've got eBay. There's so many ways, and whatever you're looking for, you can probably find. It might not be at the price you want it to pay, but you will be able to find most things that you are looking for somewhere. And also there are so many across the globe that if you are willing to pay customs and taxes and fees and all the rest of it, you can get your hands on pretty much anything that you want. Gone are the days where certain bags were so rare that you just cannot ever find one. It is very rare now not to find a rare bag, if that makes sense. And I think that is just, the industry has exploded, hasn't it? There's so many people trying to get in on the act. The resellers, believe they can make a really good living, more than a good living, from this as a job, as a career. And yeah, we've all fed into it. All of us feed into it because there's frenzies over certain bags. And just going back to the fact that there's so many resellers, there is so much stock on each reseller. If you were looking at even just the Hermes bags, for example, because they are the ones that are supposed to be the Holy Grail bags, they are supposed to be the investment bags. If you want a Mini Kelly, you can buy one. If you want a Birkin 25, you can find one. If you want an exotic, a picnic, any of those, you can find one. Now, as I said, they might not be the price you want to pay, but they are available. Or there will be somebody out there that can find you one. Where do they find them from? Who knows, but they can find you one. So is it that they've got an in at Hermes? Is it that I don't know, they just know lots of different people? Things are coming from abroad. Who knows where these things come from? But the market is completely and utterly saturated with stock. So why does that mean that the luxury resale market is dying? If there's a lot of stock, does that mean that people aren't buying? Is it that prices are too high? We go back to the old, as the accountant and as an economics degree, I think it obviously comes back to all the supply and demand. That is how it all works. If the demand is there, the supply will go down. It just will. If there is no demand for any of these things, then the supply, yeah, it will sit there, won't it? And it will act as stock. What do the resellers do about this oversaturation of stock? Do they just keep churning them out? Do they price them at a certain price in order to make sure they keep selling? Or do they just keep hold of those and think, no, I'm just going to keep this as my inventory, and when the right person comes along, it will sell? Some have different strategies on how they want to move their stock, but at the end of the day, they do have to move their stock, because otherwise it is just money sat there. Stock is just money that is sat there that needs to be sold. However, if they are not actually holding the stock, and this is the rub, I suppose, with regard to resellers, consigners. If you're consigning an item with somebody, then the stock doesn't belong to them. The stock, it's still your bag. If I wanted to sell whichever one of these bags, and if I send it to Bag Easter, Luxury Promise, Designer Exchange, whichever reseller consigner that I want to use, if they hold that bag for me and they put it in their showroom, they put it on their website, they get inquiries, they send it out to lots of people that they think are looking for that bag, they will only receive their commission if they sell it. So it never belongs to them. Their sale, if you like, is literally just the commission. That is nothing to do with holding stock. So you might see a lot of stock in a store, but how much of that is actually owned by that company? And therefore they can hold the stock because they're not actually holding any money. If they bought that bag outright from you and they then are selling it, then they do need to sell it, and they probably get more of a deal on one of those, because they literally need to sell it because that is their stock to sell. There's different VAT implications on whether it's commission only or stock held, so they have to take all that into consideration. But without getting into the accountancy side of things, it is a consideration for the resellers to actually get rid of their stock. So if they have a ton of demand, they're not going to have as much stock, and they're going to be fighting for all those rare pieces. So yeah, it's a sign for me that if there is a lot of stock on the market, there's a lot of availability of these bags, then yeah, something's slowing down. It's either the number of people wanting to sell has gone up and the number of people buying has stayed the same or gone down. It is just what it is. So yeah, it is a sign that things are slowing down. Does it mean it's dead? Does it mean it's dying? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. Just talking about the resellers and their commission structures. Their commission structures are so insane, some of these resellers. I've had experience of this personally, where I was looking to sell one of my Hermes bags, and the offer that I received from one of the resellers as a buyout was just insanely low. And I know, because I have seen stock, whether it's held by them or whether they're selling on behalf of someone else, they would have got double that amount if they had sold. So it's just the amount of commission that they're asking. It's just crazy. So does that mean that people are less likely to bother selling their bags because it's very, very hard to sell your bags at the moment? All the stock is sat there. So for example, not only is the commission high, for me, I was not going to sell my Hermes bag through that reseller because it would have been insane for me to give it away for that price. They were the ones that would have made all the profit on it. I wouldn't have made a profit on it at all. I'd have barely got my money back. So yeah, so in that case, if I am desperate to sell and I need the money, then I might have to sell through somebody like that reseller. But if I am just wanting to sell it and I have no rush to sell it, I'm just going to hang on. I'm not just going to give it away. So does that mean that lots of us are finding it harder and harder to sell our bags? but there's still a lot of stock out there. But that is the reason why now it's so hard, because the stock has built up over time, and now we're in a situation where the resellers don't want our bags to sell because they've got all these others that they haven't sold yet. So when I offered my baguette, my fendigraphy, and as I said, an Hermes Birkin, yeah, I had emails back from a reseller saying they didn't want the Birkin. They just didn't want it. That was a surprise. They were the ones that came back then after that with a silly price. The fendigraphy and the baguette, I couldn't give them away. I couldn't give them away. I offered them to Bag Easter, who have been amazingly fair with me, and the price they said the only price they could give me for the baguette was, I was just not going to sell it. Fendigraphy, they didn't want it. Not even on a consignment basis, they didn't want it. So how easy is it to sell? And then I put them on Vestiaire, and the offers that I got, also I had a pair of shoes that I put on Vestiaire, and bearing in mind that these are Christian Louboutin, I think I've worn them once. They are immaculate, beautiful shoes. They were £600-700, I believe. They're even more than that now. I think I got offered £69 for them. £69. And I just thought, I'm not just going to give them away. It's bonkers. And I know shoes are a different thing, they have to fit and all the rest of it, but yeah, there's lots happening in the resale market at the moment, but it's very, very, very hard to sell anything. Okay, so we have to talk about the economy, the cost of living, all of the rest of it, the changing attitude, if you like, towards luxury. These are luxury items. These are not necessities in our world, and never have been, never will be. But the economy does change how we feel about what we are going to do with our spending. So people either are not buying, or they want a bargain. They want an absolute bargain, because everybody's telling you the luxury resale market is dying, and therefore it's a buyer's market, it's a buyer's market, it's not a seller's market. So you can get a bargain, which means that people go into it thinking, I'm not paying that for that. And yeah, they're wanting an absolute rock bottom price. So unless you are, as I say, desperate and need to sell a few things, people are just going to hold on. So what does this mean for the future of the resale market? Is it finally dead in the water? Well, actually, I don't think it is, because these things are always cyclical. At the moment, if it's very, very hard to sell things, it means that it's a buyer's market. So you may well get a bargain, and the more that you chip away at some of this stock, it will sort itself out. That's what economics is. What will happen, and it all goes in cycles, and it might take longer than we hope, but it will get to the point where the stock has started to trickle through, and resellers are now wanting to buy a few more things from you. A new frenzied bag comes out, and that might help certain things, and who knows what will happen. But what I do believe will happen is it will come back. So if you're wanting to sell a few things and you are not in any rush, then just bide your time, and things will start to flow again. Because once everything slows down, that stock will eventually go, because it has to one way or another, even if people give it away for a price they particularly don't want to, or they will pull it off the market and say, I'm not going to sell it. At some point, the resellers, it just will sort itself out. Some resellers will go out of business, they will have enough of it, or they will not do so well, or they might have to look at their commission structures. Either way, the market has a way of balancing itself out. So hang fire, and we will see everything come back around. And who says that having a seller's market is necessarily a good thing? Because for those of us that want to buy and get a bargain for a pre-loved item, the prices are going to go up. So it's one of these things, isn't it? It's good for sellers, it's bad for sellers. It's good for buyers, it's bad for buyers. That's just how these things work. So yeah, it's just a bit of a tough time at the moment if you're wanting to sell. The resellers have a lot to answer for. They really, really do. But anyway, that is my two penneth. I don't know what you guys think. Put it in the comments below. I would love to know your thoughts on this. There's also one other little thing. There's a lot of horror stories at the minute about buying and selling pre-loved through Facebook groups, not knowing who you're buying from, not getting references, buying things over bank transfer, having no recourse on it, things like that, receiving fakes, or you're not sure if it's a fake, all of that. So maybe that has frightened a few people as well. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on another one.